Hi, I'm Trooper Smacka.
Hi, I'm Trooper Wellman,
Please stay tuned for a behind-the-scenes look at being a state trooper.
and together we can make a difference.
Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios with another edition of Trooper Talk with Trooper Wellman. People are now going on to road trips.
Yeah.
We're in a different stage of everyone's life, like this year, and you know what I mean? Like people are out of all these other things that happened over the past couple years. And so now people feel free to, get in the car and drive to a hotel or go to a camping ground or, whatever it is that they might be. And, we always talk about the driving tips of the not driving on the shoulder and stuff like this, but, we don't talk about the wiper blades.
Mm-hmm.
The other day it rained, my windshield wipers were not very good.
Yeah.
And so you don't think about that until you need them.
Be prepared, right?
Right? I mean, I don't know about floor mats, but I'm just saying that, you talk about the cooling system. Listen, I have a friend. He's taking a trip to North Carolina. It's going to take him 5 days. And so I said, well, where's your truck today? Because he was driving his wife's truck. And I said, well, where's your truck? And he goes, well, it's going in today for the oil change and the rotating of the tires and, and all this stuff, so that when he drives, he's making sure that all the tires are good and all this type of stuff to be prepared.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's super smart and responsible. A lot of vehicles have recalls, lately, and my car was one of them as well. And I called and I made an appointment. They got me right in and switched some stuff out. And it's always good to stay up on your vehicles, recalls or any equipment that might need repair. Make sure your brakes are working sufficient. Like you said, with the rain that just happened, make sure you have your wiper blades, because you don't want to be in a situation where you're driving and now you can't see and it's obstructing your view.
Yeah.
And even if you pull over, then what? Like, you just have to sit there and wait it out. Make sure your battery is good to go. Make sure you always have plenty of fuel in your car if you are doing a trip. You don't want to run out of gas. That is like one of the worst things ever, just because if you're in the middle of nowhere, who knows how long it's going to take to get someone there. Make sure your tires have plenty of air and your pressure's right. You don't want to have too much pressure, because then you could risk also, them popping, exploding,
Yeah, right.
Getting a flat tire.
Exactly.
And then make sure you have a charger in your vehicle, so that way your phone can stay charged in case something happens and you need roadside or highway patrol, Star NHP. Make sure you have water and snacks if you are doing a road trip, because if you do get stranded, again, it could take hours for a tow truck to get to you, or emergency personnel, depending on where you're at. So it's always good to be prepared. And then one of the main ones I've seen throughout my career that always worries me is, let's say we have a road closure and people are just sitting stationary. People that take medication will come up to me when I'm closing the road and say, I'm diabetic, or my child needs this medication, or, just make sure you're always prepared with your insulin or any of your medications that you may need, thinking, oh, I don't need it for 6 hours. Well, if there's a road closure or a fatality or something and you're stuck, make sure you always bring extra, because that is something that I've seen multiple times, and what are we going to do? We have to call an ambulance, because we have no resources if we're in the middle of nowhere, out in our rural area, I should say. And it's just a very scary thing to be a part of. And I've seen where a child was diabetic and they needed insulin, and it was like, what do? Do we land in a helicopter because we need to get this insulin here? It was just very scary and traumatic. Everything worked out, of course, but just please be prepared.
Yeah, and the thing is, this is a real scenario.
Yeah.
Where the road can close in front of you for 5 hours, right?
Yes.
Nobody wants it. We know you're trying to, do everything you can to open it as fast as possible, right, and all that stuff. But the road can close directly in front of you for 5 hours.
Yes.
And so it is possible. And so we have to,
And we can't even turn vehicles around most of the time, because there's just miles of traffic. And even if we did turn you around, we don't know when the roadway's opening, so we could let you sit there for an hour thinking the road's about to open. It's all about the weather conditions. The first thing that comes to my mind was this last winter, we had to work side by side with California Highway Patrol, because they would close people going to and from California to Vegas. We average 145,000 people daily that travel the IR-15 going to and from California. And so when we have to stop that roadway because they say, hey, we have ice, we have black ice, the freeway's frozen, and it's still, there's no visibility because of snow, we're just waiting. We don't have an answer when people are like, well, when do you think it's going to open? I have no idea. We have to wait to see if it clears up, but we're not going to let you go until it's safe, because we've already had 7, commercial vehicles overturned from this ice and the weather. It's not to inconvenience you. It's because ultimately it's for your safety. And I remember that was a big one this winter, was we had to keep shutting down the highway because it was not safe for our motoring public. And that's some of the things we would see is people saying like, oh, I need, medicine. I need to get to this location. Or the
medicine, I wasn't even thinking about the fact that, a lot of people are diabetic and need insulin shots and things like this. And then all of a sudden it's like, I was only planning to be gone for an hour and a half, and now it's 5 hours later, and there's nothing you can do.
People take cholesterol, blood pressure. I mean, you go on and on and on about medicine that's on a time regimen that they have to take it. Otherwise, it could have, serious consequences. And so please just always be prepared.
Take one extra, bring it with you. Yeah. But if you do, you have to carry the prescription with the with your name on it, right?
Yes. If it is a narcotic, yes.
If it is a narcotic, right?
Yeah.
People just think that they can just take that and stick it in a purse, and it's not true.
No.
Right.
For example, if you have prescribed Xanax or something, you have to have that in a prescription bottle with your name on it, and otherwise that is considered a felony to be in possession of that controlled substance because of what it does. So
I that's what happens on the TV program I watch where they follow the police and stuff. A lot of times that happens. Somebody gets pulled over or whatever, and they have a pill or something, and they say, well, I have a prescription. They go, no, it needs to be this exact way, or it's just not, there's no way to prove it. So
another thing we'll see is like people on their keychain, they'll have like their little pill bottle, and they'll keep like, fish oil, that, all their medicine in there, but it's everything put together, which that's okay. But then the other thing is they'll either have it digitally, a picture of it, the actual prescription, or in their wallet. They will keep their prescriptions in their wallet, and they can pull it out, and I can see it and verify it with their ID, their name, that it is their prescription. But it is very time consuming. So if you do have, the prescription bottle, it is a lot easier. But I understand that a lot of people like to carry those on their keychain as they go, like multivitamins, things like that. But if you have anything that has to be specifically prescribed to you by the doctor because it's a controlled substance, like make sure you have that prescription with you.
Yeah, right. Never thought about that, carrying the thing in the, because a lot of people do carry that in the. Right. So and then they don't carry the prescription, and you're like, no, it's no good.
And when I say prescription, it's like the piece of paper that literally has your name and everything, but almost like the label wrapped around the bottle. You can get that and put that in your wallet.
Yeah, that's
or in your pocket, whatever.
Right. I'm sure most people don't, though. Yeah. All right, heat-related deaths are preventable. So, we talk about this. We're not there yet. I think I saw June 29th. It's supposed to be 104. I don't know how they could project that 3.5 weeks from now, but that's an irrelevant point. But we will hit 100 degrees. Yep. It's just a matter of when. And, we have to take certain precautions, right?
So that's another great example of if there was a road closure and we have excessive heat, make sure you have plenty of water or fluids in your vehicle, because if you get stuck for a while, you need to stay hydrated or you're going to pass out or have medical problems. Always make sure that you do not leave your animals or your children in your vehicles. And some people may think that sounds silly that we even have to say that, but it's unfortunate that we have to say that because we see it. People get caught up on the phone or they're running in their house or whatever. Your car, it might be 104 outside, but your car would be over 200 degrees inside because of how hot it is. And your children and your animals, you have to make sure that you do not leave them in the vehicle without AC running. If
here's the thing. We love the tow truck drivers. We tragically lost one.
Yep.
Not in any disrespectful way of an ambulance driver or a person on an ambulance or a fireman or firewoman, you know what I mean? But like of which ones we've lost, because I'm sure we have or something, you know, or at least hurt. You know, people need to respect the fact that when they see the blinking lights, doesn't matter what it's for, that it's for a reason.
Yes.
And that reason is to move over.
Yes. You know, our move over law, we are enforcing it constantly. And sometimes I still will stop individuals and explain the move over law, and they've never heard of it. But they have a Nevada driver's license, and that's part of your test when you got your license is the move over law. So I don't know if we just forget it or what, but we're going to constantly remind you that if there is an emergency vehicle, whether they are on the left or the right, you have to decrease your speed. And if you can safely move over, you need to do so. If you cannot safely move over in that timely manner, you need to decrease your speed. It's for your safety as well as ours. And one of the things that this officer did that I noticed was, yes, he's standing next to the fog line, and that's not the greatest place for us to be, but the reason he's standing there is because he's watching the traffic so the truck driver can get the car, because he has to put himself vulnerable and put himself in the lane for a moment to get the car. And we do that all the time for our partners, our community members, because I'm being his backup right now. I'm watching for the traffic, so that way if there is a car that's not slowing down and I think it might strike us, I can at least yell and give him an opportunity to run and take cover. But we shouldn't even have to do that, because we should just know that our community is going to slow down or move over. So
we have to do that. And in that video too, when it showed the fire trucks, it showed them in the lane, like the whoever was, you know, their work. It's not like they asked you to move over because they have nothing better to do. Like, they're working there.
So the fire trucks here in town, it might be a statewide initiative, but they actually, it's protocol for them to take the lane. So let's say if we're looking at these two lanes right here, it goes from left to right, 1, 2. If there's a crash in the number 2, the fire truck will take the entire 1 and 2. That's their protocol, is to take an extra lane until the scene is cleared. And then we would have people utilize the shoulders to get by. So for this scenario, they're in the shoulders, so the fire truck took the number 2 so that people could utilize the number 1. That's just their protocol, and it's great. Our vehicles are not as big and as large as a fire truck, so if we take a lane, we have to also, and they do too, but we also put out cones, and it's just sometimes it's more time consuming. So just everybody has different practices, but we do utilize taking a lane as well. But our goal is to get the roadway open and like quickly, and fires usually, you know, render aid and gone while we conduct the investigation. So
100%. So we have to be very mindful of that and be very careful.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Trooper Wellman, we appreciate, you know, the fact of coming on and stuff like that. And thanks again for Trooper Wellman. We greatly appreciate it. You know, we're getting through. People are coming in to the store. They're getting the mugs. We're getting there. We just have to keep on our path.
I agree.
Thanks so much, okay?
Thanks for having me.
All right, see you later.